Alright guys, this is the Cubist MTG, and today we're coming at you with a new segment called Must Have Mondays. What this segment is going to be about is things in your cube that I feel like you should have, you must have. It's going to go from decks that you're able to draft to the best in certain colors, or just great valuable cards, or cards that are very cheap that you can throw in your deck or your cube that make them, you know, a little bit better. Today I was inspired by the last couple days seeing some War of the Spark reveals, and we're going to talk about Planeswalkers. In my cube, I pulled out roughly about 40 Planeswalkers that happen to be in there. I like having them in there because they are just constant abilities that you can pay mana for, and when you get them down, they do a lot of flexible things, and being flexible in cube is super important. I also love the casting costs of these. The cheap ones are really good to cheat in with Black Lotus. The more expensive ones are fun to ramp into. They have a big flexibility, and I love the theme of Super Friends, and that's when you just draft a bunch of Planeswalkers because every turn you get to use their abilities, and you can kind of just overwhelm your opponent because you can just deal with whatever threat they have with a different type of Planeswalker. But I went through my 40 Planeswalkers that I include in the cube, and I came back with 6 Planeswalkers that I think that are a must-add. The first one here, Jace, the Mind Sculptor. I know this card is super powerful, is considered a piece of power, but I'm not really going to include this as a must-have because of the price of it. I like Planeswalkers to be on the cheaper end because those usually have the most impact, but if you're going all out, pick up a Jace. The Brainstorm ability is great, and the 4 costing mana of it lets it go into blue-red decks, blue-black decks, all that kind of good stuff. But we'll get into the real top 5 here. Now, these cards have a high impact, and they go in certain decks, and that's why I love them the most. But we're going to start here with Ugin. Now, this is another expensive one. He's probably a little north of $70 right now. But when he comes into play for 8 mana, he just does so many things. He can exile. He can, deal 3 damage. He can ramp up and then get you to draw 7 and get you flowing. But if you have a way to cheat him out with Seething Song or something like that, that's where he really shines in a deck. 8 mana is kind of expensive, but in the cube with all this power, you can really cheat him out quickly, and that's why I love Ugin. Next up, we got Dak Faden. He's a cheaper card, about $18. I love him because of his casting cost. It is so cheap. If you can cheat him out on turn 1 or turn 2, even turn 3 with a Signet, he comes in, he does a Faithless Looting. You can take control of artifacts. You can take control of creatures. Just a really flexible card, and I love cheap costing mana Planeswalkers because they're just so playable in this cube. Next up, we got the Chandra. I like her because if you're drafting red deck wins or some kind of control, she just fits in very nicely. She has 4 abilities, super flexible about what you want to do with her, and she can be your win condition. So I kind of just like the way that she is. She just aids in any kind of red deck that needs a little bit of help. She's there to lend a hand. Next, we got Ashiok. Again, a 3 costing Planeswalker, which I think is huge. With cards like this, you can mill your opponent. I love Shelldock Isle, which lets you cheat in a card if their deck is under a certain amount of cards. He just comes in and makes, he does some work. He comes in and has an impact right away, good in blue and black, and I don't know. Even the 3-color decks would love to have him. He's just a really good, strong card. And finally, Liliana. Of course, this is like one of the best Planeswalkers. Again, she's kind of expensive. She's a little under $70 right now. But when she comes in, great for black control. You can sacrifice creatures. You can discard a card. Ultimate ability is just great. I think she just has a really big impact on the game when you can play her. I know some of these cards are a little expensive, but I feel like these are the most impact cards of the Planeswalker category in my deck. I really just think that Planeswalkers have a place in every cube, and especially with War of the Spark showing off some uncommon Planeswalkers, I think that those are going to be the highlights of people's cubes going forward. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. Next week we will be taking a look at blue. It's my favorite color, so we're gonna take a look at the must-haves for the blue. But if you guys have any comments or want to talk about your favorite Planeswalkers, please comment down below. Subscribe to my channel, and I will catch you next week. Thank you.